All right, folks, welcome into the AfterSchrock. Thanks for sticking with us here for the special after the show thingy we do, which the advertisers after us appreciate greatly. Uh, no, it's kind of fun because we get to talk about some things that maybe I can't talk about on the radio because some things are appropriate, some things are inappropriate, and some things are gray. Like I love it when I'm on the radio and I'm talking to a. I still feel like Mr. Rogers, like I'm putting my headphones away and changing my shoes and doing the "Won't you be my techie?" But when I'm like, "Son of a biscuit," and like everyone reaches for the dump button, the time delay button, like, "Oh, Thor's gonna drop a bomb. We better." And I never do, and it's hilarious, especially on some of the stations. Some stations are a little more uptight than others. KFAB is pretty good about things like that, but some of the other stations I'm on, one time I said harass on the air, like that person's harassing somebody, and apparently you have to say Harris at that station because you're saying her ass, and that's inappropriate. So yeah, little fun things like that you got to watch out for sometimes on radio. But so the aftershock is when we can talk about fun things that maybe didn't fit on the air. Of course, you can't call in to the aftershock. It's a one-way thing. You can comment though. You can comment here. I'm gonna say you can comment here. See that? There you go. You can ask questions there, post comments, and then I can answer them for you if you have something. All right, so in the service center this week, I've been spending a lot of time in Lincoln because we have a whole bunch of fresh new troops in Lincoln that need expert guidance and support. They're getting better. They're almost a month old now, so they've got all the basics down. Now we're fine tuning things. How do you explain things? What do you do in this one weird situation that you've never seen before, kind of stuff. So I've been spending a lot of time there, and so I don't know how it came up, but basically anything you stick in your USB port that's like a receiver is called a dongle. That's the actual technical term for it. So if you have a wireless keyboard and mouse, the thing you plug in is called a dongle. And so Christine at the front desk was talking to us and she goes, "I just love talking to customers about their dongles because we don't take dongles when you check in your computer. We remove the dongle from your computer and give it back to you. Because otherwise, if we have to take your computer apart in the back, we have to remove those dongles out of the USB ports, and sometimes they don't get put back in. And as a result, your wireless mouse never works again. So we give the customer the dongle, so they're responsible for losing it." So she's like, "I love it when I talk to customers about dongles. I say dongle, and they say I'm saying a dirty word or something." So it's kind of funny. So yeah, we had this long conversation about dongles in the service center. And when I talk about dongles on the air, even the people in KFAB were like, "Oh my gosh, where is he going with this? Just trust it, trust it. He's got something coming, but this is rough." So yeah, so if you ever want to impress your friends with your computer knowledge, you can explain to them how your dongle is very warm because you've been using the computer a lot. In fact, sometimes if your dongle doesn't reach, you can move your dongle from the back to the front. And when you plug it into the front, you'll find that it doesn't have all the radio frequency. What did you think I was talking about? It doesn't have all the radio frequency interference from behind the computer, all the cords nest and everything. When it's in the front USB port, it actually will work a little better. So if your keyboard, for example, starts dropping letters when you're typing or your mouse jumps around a little bit, move that dongle to the front, and then your dongle will operate more efficiently, and everyone will be happy with an efficient dongle. So you see, you can have a lot of fun with that word. All right, so jumping into the questions here. "Hi, Thor. Just wondering why I keep getting pop-up notices from Java saying I need to update." All right, you have secure updated. This is an excellent thing, Shirley. All right, so inside baseball stuff. We are working right now at Schrock on getting a new, what we call a wrapper constructed. The wrapper is, all right, so when you install Java, like Shirley, if you go through and install Java like that, which you can totally do, if you go through and do it though, it's going to install certain companion programs for you, like McAfee Security Scan and a bunch of other garbage you don't need. So when we push out an update using Secure Updater, we strip all that stuff away, so you just get the Java update. We do this with all the Adobe things like Flash, Java, Adobe Reader, all those. We do Apple iTunes is another one. They install Mobile Me and all this other stuff, and we strip all that away so you just get the iTunes update. But we have a wrapper basically, so we break their installer, we take out the meaty innards, and then we put it into a new shell and send it to you. Well, the shell that we built used a software library that Microsoft made available. Microsoft has made that library no longer available. As a result, our cool wrapper broke. So now we have hired, basically Schrock Interactive is working on getting a new wrapper constructed that uses the newer libraries that we can get that out to you. So it's taking a week or so to get this done. In the meantime, you can go ahead and just surely install that Java update. It'll be fine. There's no long-term consequences to that. One of the annoying things about Java is when you install a new version, it doesn't uninstall the old version. So like our Java wrapper with Secure Updater removes any old versions you have and then installs the new version. Just keeps everything cleaner on the computer. It's better, best practices. So yeah, as a result, I'm aware that Java and iTunes are both behind right now because our only option is to push out the full installer, which will create a pop-up on your screen to make you click next to continue. So it would be a very intrusive pop-up, and we didn't want to do that, especially if it was going to be a week. So if it's going to take longer than the end of next week, we're probably going to just push out that update as it sits without the wrapper. But in the meantime, yeah, good eye. When you're paying attention, we need to get a wrapper in that. All right. I think I have the Edge icon on my screen, but I think Internet Explorer is still in my program file. Should I uninstall Internet Explorer? You can't. Internet Explorer is an integral part of Windows. Remember back in the 90s with the antitrust garbage? Microsoft said Internet Explorer was a part of Windows. It was not a separate program, like a separate browser. It was the Explorer function that allowed you to explore your files too. So because it was part of Windows, it wasn't anti-competitive. So they wove it into the fabric of Windows back in the day, and it still is. That's why it's still there. So you don't have to uninstall it, just don't use it anymore. The easy way you can tell the difference between your blue E's, Internet Explorer is the blue E and has a little golden halo around it. Like it's an angel. Not anymore. The other blue E is literally like a blue E. It's just an E. There's no halo. And that's Edge. That one is okay to use. I would prefer to see you use Firefox or Chrome, honestly, because Edge still has a couple issues. But it works for the most part. It'll get the job done for you. All right, so see, guys, you can ask questions like that. We'll get your answers going, and then hopefully get you up and moving and on your way. Yeah, that China story really surprised me today. Because you hear every week I have stories about how we're getting our clocks cleaned in the cyber front, and you never hear about the stuff we're doing on the cyber front, except for like last week we talked about, maybe the U.S. hacked a North Korean rocket to cause it to crash. That's pretty cool. So basically, additionally, let's see, there's more to the story here. Let's see. Cyber activities directed against the Department of Defense by China, including those owned by the U.S. government, continue to be targeted by China-based intrusions through 2017. It says these intrusions are focused on accessing networks and extracting information. China uses its cyber capabilities to support its intelligence collection against U.S. diplomatic, economic, academic, and defense sectors. Additionally, targeted information could obtain the People's Liberation Army cyber forces to build operational pictures of U.S. defense networks, military disposition, logistics, and related military capabilities that could be exploited prior or during a crisis. The defense for that is you create what's called a honeypot. So a honeypot looks like a real network. It feels like a real network. There may even be real information in that network that is verifiable. But what we've done is we've tricked the enemy into invading a fake network thinking they have access to the real network. And then in the future, if we need to misdirect that enemy in a direction, we can put fake information in the fake network. And the whole time that they think they have access to our real network, they stop hacking because they think they got it. But they really didn't, so they never get access to the real network. It's kind of slick. Little 007 reverse psychology there. All right. Now that some time has passed after the Spectre meltdown, scrolling down, sorry, I was like, is there more here? I got to scroll down. What percentage of performance drop did you see overall from the Microsoft patches? All right, if you fully installed all the Microsoft patches and the BIOS updates, which were also required to solve that vulnerability, it could not be done exclusively through patches. The maximum performance drop you would have seen is about 35%. And you're going to see the percentage drop is going to be more visible on computers that do not have solid-state hard drives. So here's the thing. Depending on the generation of Intel processor you have, if you have a 4th generation processor or older, you didn't get any patches. Well, you got the Microsoft patches. You didn't get any BIOS updates or code updates. The percentage drop for your computer is actually going to be less because you're still not secure. The patches improved your security, but the problem is still there. Now, if you have a 7th or 8th generation, 6th, 7th, or 8th generation Intel product, you received patches from Microsoft, BIOS updates from the manufacturer of your computer, which may or may not have been automatically installed. And those things on your computer could have resulted in up to a 30% drop. The main reason for this is basically everything that makes Intel processors fast had a built-in security vulnerability that nobody was really aware of. Nobody thought about it in this way. It's kind of like that thing with, why would we encrypt stupid information? Nobody ever thought that maybe we should do that because one step in your defense is not being able to tell the difference between stupid information and important information. If you only encrypt important information, then we know that anything encrypted is important, and we can go after it. So basically, if everything is encrypted, you have to intercept everything, and it's a lot harder to do. In that regard, the Intel chip problem was very similar. So why would anybody have ever done this? And then all of a sudden somebody did, and it was like, oh shoot, we never thought about it that way. And now every processor that Intel ever made going back to the 90s has a vulnerability. As a result, they released a bunch of patches. And the stuff that hyper-threading, the things that was the big one. They realized that hyper-threading actually has a vulnerability. They never patched that one. That one is not going to get patched. And the reason is because if you take hyper-threading away from an Intel processor, they're so badly slower than the competition's processors that you're not going to use them. IT administrators aren't going to use them, and Intel can't afford that. So that vulnerability never got patched. So up to a 30%, the quick answer is up to 30%. The easiest way to get that performance back, this is bringing a lot of customers are coming in for maintenance checkups, and almost universally they're saying my computer is way slower than it was before. Sometimes it was kind of frustrating throughout the year because customer would come in to have us do a checkup, and we'd install their updates, and they get the computer back, and they complain to us that my computer is slower now than it was before I took it into you. What the heck? Yeah, this particular update, you would have got it anyway, but this update slowed everything down. The way to offset that is by upgrading to a solid state hard drive. It doesn't matter how old your computer is. It doesn't matter what operating system you're running. It doesn't matter how fast your processor is or how much memory you have. The bottleneck now in technology is the hard drive. Everything else in your computer is a microchip, and your hard drive is a spinning disk at 5,400 to 7,200 rotations a minute. We get rid of the spinning disk, and everything gets a lot faster, 5 times faster. So if you're thinking about trying to upgrade a computer to get a little bit more time out of it before you replace it, that'd be a great way to do it. If you have a laptop, it's an amazing way to do it because it also takes a lot of battery power to spin that hard drive. And guess what? There's no motor in a solid state drive, which means less battery power. And that means your battery actually will last you longer. So longer battery life, better performance, awesome stuff. We're doing lots of solid state upgrades for people. All right, last call for questions, guys, because I got to get going here. I have the edge icon. Let's see. Now that the time has passed. Yep, so I think I'm good there. Let's move down to the next one. My 10-year-old 27-inch iMac has started to run slow. Do you work on Macs? Yes, we do. We do work on iMacs as well, and iMacs, the number one reason that they're getting slower is because they don't have enough memory, and especially the older iMacs use very specific memory. You can't just take memory from any PC and stick it in there. You got to get the right speed RAM. The other thing is solid-state hard drives. iMacs have rotating, even the current iMacs. Like we had a customer who bought a brand new 27-inch iMac and then brought it into us because she needed a bigger hard drive installed. And it had a tiny little solid-state to boot from, and then it had a two terabyte rotating disk hard drive. And so we popped in a really expensive, really big solid-state drive into that thing, and it runs like a champ, and it's amazing. So yeah, we could replace the hard drive in your old iMac with a solid state and improve the performance dramatically, but also could use a memory upgrade. That's one of the biggest things. All right. How much servicing can you do to my 2-year-old Surface? Okay, good question. A Surface laptop, from a hardware perspective, there's nothing we can change. Everything is chip on board. So the processor is soldered down, the memory is soldered down. You can't upgrade it. You can't do anything. With that said, there were 2 different models of Surface sold. There was the fanless models and the models with cooling fans. The models with cooling fans are always the more powerful ones, the i7s, i5s, i3s. Everything under that didn't come with a fan. If it came with a fan, that cooling system needs maintenance. Otherwise, what ends up happening, as I mentioned on the show, it gets hot and it can't cool. And the heat pipes, the pipes that are responsible for pulling the heat away from that processor, they get hotter than they're supposed to, which causes them to expand ever so slightly. And little molecules of the liquid that's running through those pipes will actually evaporate and escape through the tiny little holes when it expands. It's not going to leak out. You won't see a leak. We're talking about like molecular evaporation here. So over the course of a year, you could lose all the coolant fluid inside that cooling system. Now it's just a chunk of metal with an empty metal tube on it. And it's still hot. It's still pulling heat away, but it's not pulling heat away anywhere near as fast as it should be. And as a result, your processor will slow itself down so it doesn't cook itself to death, which means your Surface is going to run slower. So yes, if it has a fan especially, it needs maintenance. More importantly, though, it runs Windows, so it needs maintenance. It's going to need its registry maintained. It needs its. You don't have a lot of storage on a Surface. We want to clean that up. Make sure you have as much available storage as possible, so that you have enough room to get these Redstone updates when they come out. If you don't have enough room to download them, then you can't get the update. We want to make sure that the computer's memory is good and everything. If you have bad hardware, bad storage, or bad memory, yes, it's true we can't do anything to fix it, but at least you know it's bad. And at that point, you can make decisions on when you can budget for a new computer and do things like that. So absolutely, a Surface would be an excellent thing to bring in for a maintenance checkup. We can also maintenance Macs too. A lot of people have asked about that. A lot of iMacs have been coming in lately because they're getting a little older. The ones that were sold around the Windows Vista era, when Vista turned off so many PC users, lots of people bought iMacs. And as a result, now those iMacs are getting to that age where they're starting to slow down. They're not doing everything that they used to do, and we've been doing a lot of upgrading to them to get them back into the game again. So yeah, a lot of Macs coming on the bench. We can do preventative maintenance on those as well. Macs do get viruses. Most Mac users are infected right now. If you see something popping up on your Mac screen called Mac Keeper, you're infected. Almost every Mac I've seen this week has had Mac Keeper on it, and people have no idea they're infected. Then we find out they're infected, we remove the virus and install Endpoint, and they don't get infected anymore. We do have Endpoint for Mac, by the way. What's the minimum amount of RAM you recommend for a person who doesn't do gaming? Okay, so basically memory doesn't do a whole lot for gaming. Memory changes how much you can do on the computer at one time. The more memory you have, the more snappy the computer will be. Doesn't make the computer faster, makes it respond more quickly. So when you hit the start menu, if it takes 5 seconds for it to pop up on the screen, memory will help with that. If you have two programs open and you're switching between them, memory will help with that. The minimum amount of memory you should have in a computer anymore is 4 gigabytes of RAM. Ideally, you should have 8. Higher end computers come with as much as 16 or even 32 now. So definitely you want to get an upgrade if you're below 4 gigs of RAM. All right, let's see. Good questions this week, guys. Where were these during the radio show? Customers would have loved to hear these on the air. What are your thoughts about the Opera browser? It's not used by very many people. I can honestly say I've used it about twice. From everything I hear, it's a great browser. It works fine. It's just a very small minority of people use it. So what you'll find sometimes when you go to websites is that the website has not been tested with Opera, so you might get some operational problems with it because of that. Jimmy buffering. Keith's always got a good one. Video live interrupted. Oh, well. Oh, he's saying I'm buffeting. I got it. All right. Well, guys, I think Facebook's had a fill of me today, so I'm going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for sticking with us here. Stay with the show. If it did buffer out on you and you missed some important stuff, the recording will be on Facebook as well. You can watch the rerun, and you can skip fast forward to where you want to go to hear the part you missed. So I'll end the recording so it'll get that posted, and we'll see you again next week for another edition of Compute This. Don't forget to vote for us in Best of Omaha, by the way.